Everybody. So today we're talking about Intro to Imperialism. And so you should be in Google Classroom and opening up the Imperialism assignment that says Intro to Imperialism. Okay, so I'm just going to lecture. I'll go through these things. You're just going to fill in the blanks. Okay, and you'll use some of this information to help you answer some of the other questions at the bottom of that, especially when it starts talking about what is the scramble for Africa and things like that. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Let me find where I am. Okay, so imperialism, right there at the top of the first page, okay? Imperialism is the policy of extending a country's power and influence through diplomacy and military force, okay? Extending a country's power and influence through through diplomacy and military force, okay? So what does that mean? Extending simply means broadening, right? Okay, going beyond what is their norm to somewhere else. And the big thing about that is that they're using their power for that, okay? Whether it's military power, financial power, whatever it might be, whatever their power is. So they're using that power and influence through diplomacy and military force. Okay, that is imperialism. Diplomacy. Okay, you've heard the word before, diplomat, or that is being diplomatic. It just means managing international relations. Managing international relations. Okay, so relationships between different countries. Okay, we in the United States, we also have what's called ambassadors. Okay, very similar thing. All right, so diplomacy is managing international relations. All right, the third definition there is ideology. Okay, ideology, and what word would you say is kind of the root of that? Ideas, right? Okay, so ideology is ideas or ideals, especially ones from which the basis, which forms the basis of economics and politics. Okay. Ideology is ideas and ideals, especially one which forms the basis of economics and politics. The ideology of the United States is capitalism, okay? It is democracy, all right? Economics, politics, okay? Those are our ideals, okay? All right, so let's move on. What are some of the motives for imperialism, all right? There are, as you'll see there, 4 different motives, okay? The first is economics, all right? Economic motive, all right? Meaning that, to take over or to move into that area through power and force, they want to make money. So to make money, control trade, raw materials, and cheap labor. As you see, so let me say that again. To make money, control trade, raw materials, and cheap labor, okay? This is one of the major reasons of what is taking place here with the scramble for Africa, right? You have these European countries that have now been industrialized, right? Okay, the Industrial Revolution. They have production at high volumes now, and their markets where they're from is drying up. Those things are drying up, okay? They need new markets, okay? And so not only do they need new markets, but here's Africa that has a cheap labor force. It has raw materials, and it's a way for them to make money, because essentially what happens is they go into Africa. Say England goes into Kenya, imperializes Kenya, takes their cheap labor force to help draw the raw materials that they need to make whatever it is that they make, that gets shipped back to England. They produce it in the factories. Remember the factories that are being built during the Industrial Revolution. They produce it in the factories. Then they ship it back to Kenya and they sell it in Kenya. Okay, it's a new market. All right, so economic motive to make money, control trade, raw materials, and cheap labor force. Okay, so over there to the right where you see examples, why Africa, what I just talked about with the scramble, perfect place for you to write a little bit in there. Okay, political. Okay, to gain power. So political motive to gain power, to compete for territory, good military force, and prestige. Okay, prestige, Prestige. So political motive, gain power, compete for territory, good military force, and prestige. Okay, how do you gain political power? Where you're controlling more land, right? More other countries, those people. Okay, you're competing for territory. All right, the more you have, the more powerful you are. You're the biggest dog on the block, right? All right, and then good military force. What you see in this imperialism time, the people of Kenya, of Zimbabwe, of Uganda, of South Africa, they actually become part of the military force for these countries that have imperialized them. Okay, during World War I, the people of Africa fight not for their country in Africa, but for the country that has imperialized them. We see the same thing in India, in the subcontinent of India, okay? Millions of people from India fight for England during this time, okay? So you gain more military force and then prestige, okay? They want to be seen as more important, all right? Religious motive, okay? It starts off with this, to spread European values, spread Christianity, and protect European missionaries, okay? We're not in class, so we won't be able to dive into this a whole lot, but there's this one thing called the white man's plight, okay? And it was this notion that during this time, it was his mission, his God-given mission, to go and convert what they viewed as the savages of Africa to Christianity. And whether they wanted to do it or not, it was what they had to do. God had told them to do it. It was their mission. Okay? And so religious motive was to go and spread Christianity. Spread those European values, spread Christianity, protect European missionaries. All right? And so that's why if you look at a lot of places, a lot of those countries in Africa today, they are very conservative Christian countries. All right? This is as a result of imperialism. Something else that you're going to see, that are kind of off topic a little bit, but you know that the game of soccer is extremely popular in Africa. Okay, in countries like Rwanda, their favorite team with such passion is Liverpool. Okay, why? Because when they were imperialized, by Belgium, they brought with them soccer, okay? And soccer has become their national game, and something that and again, that's another example of imperialism. And then the last motive is ideological, okay? And this is based on cultural values, okay? And again, we're going to dive a little bit into this white man's plight right here, where it says the white race, the belief was the white race was superior and all other cultures were primitive, okay, meaning lesser All right. So it was part of this mission that they were on to share share and spread and embed their cultural values. That they were embracing the idea that the white man was superior and all other cultures were primitive. All right. And that it was their mission to come in and to while certainly in many ways to make money, to spread influence, but it was also to share their culture and to try to take over. Okay, so right there at the bottom of that, you see a question too. The big question is, if there was no industrial revolution, would there be imperialism? Okay. If there were no industrial revolution, would there have been imperialism? I want you to take some time to think about that. Down here at the bottom, on that next page, you're going to see a map. It says European colonization in 1913. I mean, y'all, this was just 107 years ago. Okay? That is not a lot of time. 107 years ago. All right? That this imperialism was taking place as European countries moved in, and they sat down and they divided up at a table as if Africa was just free for the taking. They sat down, all these different European countries sat down, and they said, all right, you'll take this country, you'll take this country, you'll take this country, you'll take this country. Okay, that is part of what I want you to research as you write down what is the scramble for Africa. Okay, I want you to be able to tell, and you can tell a lot by that map right there too. What countries were involved, which countries were the biggest players in the imperialism of Africa, meaning which countries kind of took the lion's share. Okay, they really stepped in and took over large areas of Africa. Okay, and then question number 4 is what is it that would enable a small group of imperialists to dominate a much larger group of people? What innovations? Okay. And you can Google all this, okay? But what innovations did these countries have that if they came in with 1,000 soldiers, how could they take over, 500,000 people? What were the things that they had, okay? What innovations, what technology enabled this to take place, okay? So, I want you to take some time, finish this, and then just submit it through Google Classroom, okay? So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me or text me through Remind or message me through Google Classroom or something like that. Hope you're doing well, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.